Hey guys, it's Paul from Ashen Phoenix. It is first reactions this week. Justice League. Big question everybody's asking. Did it suck? Not really. By no means was this a great movie. It just wasn't. The pacing was terrible. The the story at times seemed very disjointed, and in their rush to start to be like Marvel, they did something that's always been a Marvel pitfall, and that's giving us a villain that we didn't really care about. Steppenwolf was too CGI when he didn't need to be, and it just wasn't. It just wasn't good. Like he was a bad character. He's way more menacing in the comics and was much more important in the comics, and it just wasn't great. But that being said, there were good points to this movie. Any, and I mean any, of the interactions between the actual Justice League members were golden. They were perfect. They were so well timed. It just seemed that everything else in the movie seemed to not be running at the same speed as everything else. Barry was awesome. It's fun to see the kind of twitchy, weird Barry at the beginning of his run. I'm hoping they don't screw up his movie by. It's supposed to be Flashpoint, so that doesn't make sense. There's so much you can get to before you get to Flashpoint, but I think they were trying to do that in the event the Justice League sucked. And hopefully they rethink that now and move in a different direction. Wonder Woman was golden. She was perfect in this. Momoa was awesome as Aquaman. And the other guy, I can't remember his name, sorry. But that's kind of how forgettable Cyborg was. I mean, he was okay. We got a booyah out of him. But I mean, overall, he was kind of pushed to the back and could have done a little bit better. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't a great movie. But again, this is a step in the right direction, because now we have Wonder Woman and we have Justice League. And Justice League, one of the important things that I was looking for was to not screw up Wonder Woman. And they didn't do that. So in that respect, this movie passed. So that's what I'll give it. I'll give it a passing rating. Like I said, there's a lot to really be happy about. There's some Easter eggs here and there that you'll geek out to, but unfortunately, I believe that the Easter eggs are kind of tossed in there just to kind of distract you from the movie being kind of a mess, because you had two directors basically doing the movie, and massive reshoots. And you can see some of the reshoots, especially with Henry Cavill at the very beginning. The CGI was really kind of a mess around his face because they were trying to hide a mustache. And like I said, there were pitfalls, and those pitfalls were made by the producers and the directors. They're decisions that didn't have to be made, and they did anyway. And that's where this movie does suffer from. But again, if you were coming in here just to see your favorite DC character on the screen, you're going to love it. If you're staying for a great storyline, you're going to be very disappointed in this. But if you're looking for just a straight action movie, even though the pacing in the first two acts are very disjointed, the third at least gets together well enough to give a satisfying ending. There was some humor in this. And like I said, overall, decent movie. Should you see it? If you're a diehard DC fan, you should see it. There are better movies out there. There are better comic book movies out there. And I think that's where people are, if there is a disconnect here. It's like we've now gone through 30 plus movies in this golden age of comic books. You should know by now what to do and what not to do. And DC still seems to not have a foothold on what to do and what not to do. They're moving in the right direction, and I believe a lot was changed after the success of Wonder Woman to make sure that this movie built on that rather than being its own thing. And in that respect, it passed. It did do well. But I give it a middling grade. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't Batman versus Superman. I thought Batman versus Superman was hands down the worst superhero movie done by one of the big two, by Warner Brothers or Marvel. I don't count Fox or Sony movies, because otherwise, obviously, Fan Four Stick would be worse than that. But as far as from the big two, Batman Superman was the worst possible thing you could have done to comics, and at least they didn't recreate that mistake by giving you 18 different things, 18 different Easter eggs that won't come into play for another 20 years. This one was a clear, concise story. Unite the Justice League, defeat Steppenwolf, move on to the next thing. And one thing that they did learn from Marvel is when you do want to introduce your next character or your next big movie, you do it in the cut scenes, which worked. They didn't do it in the middle of the movie like they did in Batman versus Superman. But overall, it was decent. It's not great. It's by no means a good movie. I thought Wonder Woman was a much better movie. But this, like I said, it wasn't as bad as it wasn't as bad as Batman or Superman. I would give this in between Wonder Woman and Man of Steel, as far as like quality. I did like that they took the filters off. Everything was in color, and that changed things slightly here and there, because it wasn't this monochromatic, dark thing. Even at the very beginning of the movie, there seemed like hope, because it wasn't a nearly black and white movie like the first Snyder film was. So yeah, there's hope. There's building blocks. There's things that were done right. There's a lot that was still done wrong. But overall, the movie didn't suck. And that's kind of what you're... sad that that's the bar that we have at the DCEU. Has a lot to learn and a lot of catching up to do, but at least they didn't screw this one up. So that's it, guys. Next movie probably won't be until December. Oh wait, yeah, it'll be December for Star Wars. Probably have just seen it with me on that one. This weekend's just been rough. I mean, everybody is wiped out, and that's why our two reviews are a day late on both of them. But hope you guys check us out. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys at the movies next time.